The rods of light are being supercharged. They're holding frequency on the planet that's affecting your body. The air around you is laced with an energy of fullness and presence. And we're going to be talking about that and so much more in today's conversation. This conversation is a little bit of an Ascension energy report, just giving you a sense of what's going on the planet right now. Now, let me start here. This time of day is the worst time of day for me to sit and record because it's noisy. You'll hear my dogs barking in the background because people are walking up and down the street. People are coming home from work. So there's cars and people and noise. But I just sat in meditation and I felt this massive download come through. So here I sit sharing the download with you, albeit at a rather noisy time of day. Hopefully that noise doesn't translate too badly into the video, but just more than the noise disturbance that you might hear from time to time, I want you to really pay attention to the energy that you feel. Let's start there. The energy that you feel, that thick fullness, that sense of anticipation in the air around you. I know so many of you feel it. You say to me things like, something's looming, something's coming, something's gonna happen. And many of you have been feeling it for many years already. Anticipation is what? It's unrealized potential. It's your awareness that there is change, there is transformation. What you're doing is you're misinterpreting. A lot of the time, you're misinterpreting that energy by saying something's gonna happen. Something's going to happen. That's in the future. So there's this idea of pushing the energy away and putting it out there in the future when we say something's going to happen, instead of registering, even though my eyes don't see it, I feel something is happening. It is happening right now. So bring your validation into today, into this moment, into your ability to meet the current energy where it is and where you are. Remember that you're an energetic device, you're an energetic being interacting with energy. And your interaction with that energy is very real. Your interpretation of that energy is very real. We've been entrained, however, to see that as less real and quite insignificant. We have been entrained to perceive the external reality, in other words, the mirror. We see the mirror as what is real. We see the feedback as what is real. And because we validate what our eyes see before we validate what our body feels. Now that is backwards. That is a misdirection of energy, and it causes us to create in reverse. As we come into alignment, as we transcend the false matrix, as we begin to experience little wafts and little whiffs of the true self, we're going to get to come into this alignment. In other words, this is how things really are. Out there in the universe, this is how conscious beings do it. They feel the energy first and they validate it as now. So that's what you're being called upon to do, to validate not something's gonna happen, but something is happening. As you do, for some of you, the air is going to get even more prickly. As you do for some of you, the air is going to get even more intense, even more alive. I experience it as a fullness. However you experience it, and you're welcome to let me know in the comment section, however you experience it, bring validation to that experience. And that's going to put a smile on your face as you realize, wow, this is not a dream. This really is happening right now before my eyes see it, before reality out there validates it for me. Nothing wrong with waiting. If that's what you choose to do, you can wait for external reality to validate what you're feeling right now, but that is a difficult path. That is a tiresome path. It's a path that is not going to grow you. It's not going to evolve you. In fact, it's going to do the opposite. It's a choice. It's just not the wisest use of your time. Let's move to the rods of light. The rods of light, it's a video that I put up a couple of weeks ago, and in that I spoke about what's become to me to look very much like acupuncture needles. I've seen them now in numerous other visions since that very first video that I shared with you about the rods of light, and I see them now as acupuncture needles on the planet, and I see very much like an acupuncturist performing a acupuncture session on a patient. What is that acupuncturist doing? They're getting organs of the body that have been disconnected from each other, they're getting them to communicate. It's like the lungs start communicating with the liver, starts communicating with the kidneys, with the eyes, with the skin. So your body comes into communication. Energetic flow is restored. Now that is what we're seeing taking place globally, energetically. And I want to share something with you that is so incredibly exciting. What I saw with the rods of light initially was how these rods of light, kind of like the acupuncture needles, are bringing energy, anchoring energy, activating energy in the planet. This is true. This is what they're doing. I noticed how they're concentrating at the core of the planet. I also noticed how the rods of light are clumped together, for want of a better word, concentrated, more articulate, concentrated in certain spots around, certain strategic spots around the globe. And this has been ongoing for quite some time. They're kind of like receivers, and they are receiving cosmic energy, and they are bringing that cosmic energy right into the core where it pulsates, radiates, concentrates itself before it gets released back to the surface where we are. So it's part of catalyzing our ascension journey. Here's the beautiful thing that I noticed. For those of you that have ever paid attention to the Schumann resonance, you're going to know what I'm talking about. Traditionally, energy has spiked, we've integrated it, and then it spiked again, maybe in another week, another month, another couple of weeks, whatever it was. But we had this with energy. We had light codes, which is really the eminence, the radiance that comes from the sun and surrounding cosmic field to our planet, to our bodies. These light codes wake us up. But they've been coming to us in, we could call it fits and bursts, stops and starts, spikes of energy that the body has to assimilate and integrate, which is when we experience ascension symptoms, and they tend to get very loud and they tend to peak at those times. We're experiencing something very different now. The rods of light are now calibrated in such a way that they are holding, very much like a battery will hold a charge, they are holding the ascension codes, the light codes, the ascension energy. They are holding that signal. This is important. So imagine we've got all of these rods of light, all millions of them, all around the globe, and every single one of them is holding ascension codes. That is why your body is going, something's going to happen, something's going to change, something's going to drop, something's going to shift. Potential, don't know what it is. Even some people feeling big levels of anxiety because they don't know what they're feeling or interpreting, except something's going to change. We're notoriously uncomfortable around change. The potential that you're feeling is very real. The thick fullness in the air is absolutely true. Because of what the rods of light have been calibrated to do, and because they are fully online and activated, that is the fullness in the air. That's why you're being told to validate, feel it now, draw it in, integrate it now. But more importantly, it means that we're not going to work through ascension in these stops and starts. We're now going to experience ascension energies. I hesitate to use the word even keel, because that's going to make it sound like it's all going to be smooth sailing. We're still going to experience ascension symptoms. We are still going to experience the deconstruction of the old realities that we stored within our bodies. We're still going to experience all of that. The difference, however, is that the Earth's energy is now stabilized, not spiking anymore. The ascension energy is now going to be very deliberate, as if it was delivered in a metered dose. That metered dose, however, is calibrated to increase exponentially with each passing second. We're not talking here in months. We're not talking here in weeks. We're talking here in second calibrations. Every second of your life. So from the beginning of this video until now, you've been ascending. From the beginning of this video until now, you have been evolving and elevating. And can you see what happens when you validate that? Can you see how beautiful it is, how you bring yourself into a higher activation and alignment as you bring cognizance to what's really going on? It's a beautiful, powerful thing. So we've got these rods of light. They're now supercharged like batteries, delivering a metered dose that is exponentially increasing by the second. So Earth's ascension is very much underway. And Earth is going to reach a trigger point. In other words, a point at which it's absorbed. Think of it like you're drinking water, but you're not just drinking it. As you're drinking, you're absorbing and integrating. Because as you'll know, digestion takes up so much of our energy and our time. It's not the food, it's not the water that we bring into our bodies, it's the process of assimilating that. It's very much what the earth is doing. It's digesting, if you will, those light codes. But imagine that what it's able now to do because of these rods, it's able to bring energy in and at the same time integrate so that it can absorb more and more and more to bring it to a trigger point whereby the earth, for want of a better way of saying this, the earth sends a signal to the sun, a trigger to the sun that says, plain and simple, okay, I'm ready. That's it, just that, I'm ready. It's what the sun is waiting for. The sun is waiting for that moment because the sun and the earth are in communication. Just like the acupuncturist getting your body to communicate to itself again, kidneys to liver to lungs, etc. The earth is not only learning to communicate node point to node point, from sacred site to sacred site, from earth to the cosmic field. Earth is communicating with the sun with the earth. That communication is going to be sent back or reflected back to earth with waves of sun codes. We're going to see those as what we traditionally call CMEs or coronal mass ejections. We're going to see a lot of activity from the sun between now and 2025. Even, I don't know if that ascension wave, the final blast that we call the solar flash, I don't know if that's going to happen before 2025. And by the way, nobody is supposed to know that. That is very much by design, very, very much on purpose. We're not meant to know when the ascension wave is, but if it hasn't arrived by 2025, I guarantee you we're going to be experiencing an eminence from the sun, waves and waves of solar activity and cosmic light that is coming streaming in from the sun to our planet, to our bodies, to our cells, awakening us from the inside. Your validation of the process is profoundly important. Let's talk about the sun very quickly. The sun, think of it not as we've been taught. Don't think of it as this flaming ball of gas that happens just to be hovering very conveniently at the center of our solar system, keeping everything in line and alive. Think of it in another way. Think of it as a portal of light that has many tasks and performs many vital functions. But one of them is to receive, just like a portal, which think of it like a funnel, just like a portal of light is going to, it's going to receive light codes from the greater sun. So our solar sun receives light codes from the galactic sun, which receives light codes from the universal sun, which receives light codes from God, source, creator, consciousness itself. So can you see how it keeps calibrating, almost like there's this stair-step process of calibrating frequency so that the physical bodies can interact with and receive this that we're calling light codes, this that we call ascension codes. What is that? That is just a name that we're using to describe the frequency of consciousness that the sun is calibrating in such a way that your body is able to receive and read the information. This is how your body knows and responds to the ascension codes that it's given. The Starseed mission, it's a recent video that I did, and it's going to answer questions that you didn't even know that you had. So if you haven't yet watched that video, I'm going to link it for you over here, and do check the video description box where I will leave a link to the rods of light, to that initial vision that I had that explains a little bit more about those rods of light. Until we speak again, lots of love. I will speak to you in the comment section. Bye bye for now, everyone.